a look around the micro ROV. Here we see the ROV in its present form. It is a project, and as such will be developed through quite a few variants over the coming months. It's based around an Ion Air Pro high definition underwater camera fitted with the Wi-Fi pods from Ion, enabling video and stills to be transmitted to an iPad or an iPhone, or in fact multiple devices. It is the basis for this ROV, and it's around this camera that everything is attached. So let's have a little look around the ROV. I'll be trialling a directional compass so that when viewing what the camera sees on live video, I'll be able to see whether in fact I am moving the ROV as much or as little as I think I am. Initial video from the camera shows the dome of the compass and the direction the ROV is pointing at that point in time. So I didn't want it to be too intrusive, because the whole point of the ROV is to study fish and the bed of any lake, and the compass is just an aid to movement around about the lake. I didn't want it to intrude onto the video picture. Early trials suggest it's coming on okay. It's a little large than I intended, but I'm having trouble finding a slightly smaller compass that's still readable. I'm keen to find a directional compass rather than a conventional compass. Back to the ROV. Two prominent parts either side of the camera, and buoyancy. These buoyancies are made from pieces of styrofoam. They're firmly mounted but not permanent, and can be attached and reattached using Velcro straps. The rear of the ROV, taking note of the Wi-Fi pods attached to the Ion Air Pro camera in the lock position to make it waterproof. Here we see a connector block, the umbilical will come down from the surface with the ROV during a dive, allowing power to be passed on to the thrusters, which are just water pumps, 12 volt brushless, typically used in garden features, water fountains, etc. There are 8 of these thrusters attached to the ROV, each having its own dedicated power supply, so the umbilical will supply power via this connector block to each of the ROV thrusters in turn when selected via the control panel. The control panel was discussed in an earlier video, should anybody like to study it further. The ROV has 8 thrusters. All of the thrusters have an inlet and an outlet. The position of the outlet decides where the thrust is going. So, in some logical form, let's have a look at what the thrusters might do. On each side of the thruster, called bank, there are a bank of thrusters. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on each bank. 4 on the right, 4 on the left, giving the total of 8 thrusters. Of these 8, the 4 on the right are configured so that 2 have the outlets pointing backwards, pushing the ROV forwards when the control gives power to these motors. 2 to push the ROV forward on each side. 1 on the middle to move the ROV laterally in the opposite direction to the outlet. So in this instance, this outlet would push the ROV this way, and this being the outlet for this thruster would cause the ROV to move in this direction, which we'll call reverse. So that covers the right hand bank. We have reverse, lateral and forward and forward. These are repeated on the left bank of thrusters. Here's our reversing thruster for the left hand bank. Here's our left lateral thruster, which would move the ROV to the right, and then two main thrusters to provide forward propulsion. Looking underneath, we can see the 8 thrusters. And the skid. This hardwood skid, multi-purpose, protects the ROV when sitting down. Provides a certain amount of buoyancy, provides a point to mount other things on, and also has an added bonus of lowering the centre of gravity of the ROV to make it self-righting should it ever touch down awkwardly and tip over. This self-righting has been shown in another video should you wish to study the principle further. You may have noticed the circular cutouts in the side pods. These cutouts go right the way through the side pod buoyancy, and actually house an airline and a thick latex balloon. This, when coupled via the T-piece to an airline from the surface, which may or may not be attached to the umbilical during flying, allows a topside control of the buoyancy of the ROV. Supplying air to this T-piece will inflate the balloon in either buoyancy pod, and a very slight change in the buoyancy of the ROV will bring it back to the surface. It's that finely balanced that it doesn't take a lot to alter the balance and either sink the ROV or float it to the surface. My intention is to launch the ROV with slightly inflated balloons, having it float just subsurface. I will then deflate the balloons completely, thus sinking the ROV slowly. When at the required depth, which may be mid-water or lake bottom, I then have the ability to further sink the ROV, hover mid-water, or inflate the balloons further from topside control and bring the ROV back to the surface. Early tests indicate it's possible. I'll put the ROV down and leave at this point. Thanks for watching. Follow further ROV build blogs / progress in future videos. Thank you.